Hey everybody, it's Sunday night. I'm feeling messy and I'm looking to talk some tea. So you know that makes this X is for show. I am Nico Action, NICOACTION up in your biz.
I'm here to spill some tea. I'm Jonah at Peak Jonah. That's P-E-A-K.
I got this weird thing from Costco and it's full, so I'm hoping I don't spill it, but we're just gonna see what happens. I'm TK and you can find me at TK Elemental.
And that makes me your producer, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really, usually drinking iced tea. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. But like I like to say, we're in the overlap right now, so we already have plenty of drag to talk about this week.
Oh, do we ever? I want to say one of the things that's the craziest about this week on Drag Race in particular is that you so rarely have two acting challenges the same week, even in the overlap.
Synergy again. Yeah.
This has been synergy after synergy. And one of the things is I'm absolutely convinced that if the left hand is touching one ball, the right hand has no idea what ball it's touching. And so the reason this is significant here is because where we're at is like some of the biggest name girls on one show, underwhelming at times. Hey, sorry, not trying to be mean about it, but underwhelming at times. And some of the most unheard of name girls, Melania, and then every one of these is the messiest bitches on UK. I don't know. I love these girls on UK though. I think they just really like drama. I'm so into it.
Drama.
I don't know. I realized partway through the drama on UK, I did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I want to be very clear. I did enjoy it. But I also feel like both the girls, the producers, and the editors, I'm American. And so when I say I like drama, I really just mean that I like people to be borderline at any point close to Jello or mud wrestling, no matter what's happening. Every American in a fight is just 5 feet away from either mud or Jello wrestling. It's going to be at the bar where you're at, or there's probably some mud nearby. And if you keep going with the fight, it'll end up in one of those two places. The UK girls, at their most dramatic, often are taking us to Shakespeare. And it's very beautiful, and sometimes the like people, there's like plans, and it's very Macbeth, and like girls are being duplicitous on whole other levels, and then taking it back, and then putting it back out there, and then comforting the girls, and it all feels very well produced to the point where I'm like, no, this is too good. I'm a little trash panda, and I wanted little trash panda man drama, and you have just given me a very well thought out stage production drama, and I don't want that because I am a cheap whore.
At the one point when they were like, wow, she's really giving it to her, she's such a mean dom now, I was like, no, that's literally the nicest I've ever spoken to anyone ever. But the fact that
giving her
girls,
the time of day, maybe,
that they're so messy at one another is what I'm really appreciating. Whereas on Global All Stars, they're all just acting like they're BFF when they're not.
It's very UK to start drama at the end of the recording of one episode, so the beginning of an episode, the end of their recording day, to then squash it immediately the next morning while they're at the round table. It is, I don't know, hysterical that
that's British politeness culture done brought you right there.
Well, actually, I really didn't like the way you came for me. Let's be clear. Marmalade cleared Chanel.
No. What Marmalade did was politely discuss with Chanel in a peer mediation style ways to be more appropriate in social situations.
Yeah.
She like, oh, but I just want to see you be a better lady.
This is what I'm talking about. This is not. Well, this is too classy for me. Fight each other.
I took it more as next time we fight, the fisticuffs are coming out and the gloves are coming off.
Ooh, then that means they're going to quote the St. Crispin's Day speech. Better look out.
You might be right. I didn't take it that way, but you might be right.
On social media, Marmalade had a, for inspiration for her workroom contributions, 10% off using code Chanel and all her merch.
Oh, real quick, before we can forget anything else, I work with Canva all day, every day at my Real People job. And so to fucking hear Canva, the Queens had to use Canva, I thought I was going to throw my TV in the trash. I haven't been that angry in quite a long time. The number of things going on in these 2 episodes that I had a really good time with. I do want to say separately, we just started and finished the first season of Dragula, which, what a good time. In fact, dig through the ditches, burn through the witches. It's a really good time. But in one of the episodes, somebody makes a reference to Nick Rhodes, and somebody's like, "Oh, you don't know who Duran Duran is," to one of the contestants. And I was like, what an idiot thing to say, considering one, the only, the most unbelievably 80s man ever to live. Who do you need? Who do you love when you come undone? Warren Cook Rollo. Simon Le Bon.
Who, for 64, is looking amazing.
Fuck, I can't even stand how beautiful Simon Le Bon has remained all of these years. I love him more than I love anything about Duran Duran. I think he's a good time. I think he's just like a weird, funny man. And I don't like a whole lot of Duran Duran songs.
But you do like weird, funny men.
No, and I do like Warren Cucurello, the second drummer in Duran Duran, who would go on to do porn and then find God, stop doing porn. And now what are we supposed to do with our time? Girls on film? I think not. I myself am hungry like the wolf, and this is just no ordinary world. So.
Oh, and you also love cuck porn, so. Not even 10 minutes into the broadcast, folks.
Speaking of cuck porn,
it's Israel. Is a no from Dracula.
We're hitting some great.
All right. Well, this has been really good, you guys. I love a broadcast. I gotta go, and I'll see you later.
Okay, I'm gonna usher us into the episode. I want to start.
I think we're pretty ushered.
I want to start with global. Because I mean, which one we're going to talk about first? Just to start with global, I thought that there was a lot in these travel videos that were really cute, a lot of fun, high energy. I loved each one of these girls serving up their idea of funny, because one of the things it reminded me is that if Rue doesn't get your joke, you're fucked, and it doesn't matter how funny you are, you're fucked. And so I really enjoyed these girls being like, it doesn't matter. I got this far in the competition. Just make the sketch. And end of the day, everyone did great. But I maybe did think once again, Alyssa played like to the most basic you could play the joke. And that just sort of like bummed me out a little bit. I'm not anti-Alyssa, but this is not her edit.
I thought she did pretty good this episode, but I honestly thought Kitty or Nalania's ads were just a little more funny, a little more engaging, and what they both were trying to deliver about their countries. I lost my absolute mind when Nalania jumped into the Mario pipe. The fact that they did that. Nintendo's going to sue their ass twice now.
Twice. Oh, and the Piranha... Oh, no, that wasn't this again.
No,
that's Dragula again. Guys, I got to go. Too many drag shows. Everybody's a Boulay brother now. My ass is grass.
I had to grab this photo because it's insane that they did this. This is probably as close to parody as they are allowed, because that is pretty accurate.
I mean, you could maybe make an argument. Are they Minecraft blocks? Are they Mario blocks? No one knows. What's a video game?
Who can never be sure? I kind of predicted going into this episode that if Alyssa wasn't going home, that she was going to win this episode, because they weren't going to allow Alyssa or any of their final 4 competitors, for at least for the first season of Global, into the finale without any wins. And truthfully, I at this point, I'm fine with it. Give Alyssa her flowers. Let her have a win. At the end of the day, was it my favorite one? No, but she did a good job. I thought it was the correct top 3 and the correct bottom 2, and you can play with those whoever wins, however you want. I did agree. Tessa's. I was surprised she didn't come back out in the corset, because I thought she looked really great with the corset on over the cow suit. I don't agree with her I don't agree with the judges that she should have done Germany. I do think it's fine that she did Switzerland.
Yeah, that's so weird to be like, no, I think you're representing the wrong nation. The wrong nation is in your heart. You expatriate wrong. What in God's name?
Rue does this all the time with giving people advice. And surprised in the there wasn't a walkthrough this episode, unless they didn't show it. And Rue saying that to her during the walkthrough. Rue loves being like, "Oh, you know nothing about this person, just still do it anyway. It'll be funny." Like when she told,
at the Snatch game.
For Snatch Game is the biggest one. Crystal Method from season 12 being like, "You should have done El DeBarge because you have a mullet." Crystal had no idea who El DeBarge was and still doesn't know who El DeBarge is.
I mean, first of all, that is one of the reasons I could never root for Crystal to win. But secondly,
Well, I love Crystal.
oh, honey, we'll get you into a program. But one of the things that I really do want to touch on with these girls, because I loved your point about right bottom, right top 3, right bottom 2. I don't know that I think there was a bottom 2, top 3. I think there was a top 2, also Kitty, and a bottom 2. I think what I'm finding is there's this thing that sometimes happens where like you put on an album, like, and I'm making such a specific reference right now, everybody just be the exact same goth teen faggot with me. But like, I remember when Hybrid Theory came out, and then I remember when Meteora came out, and track for track, they are the same fucking album. Like, you can line them up. Like it's like Tool songs where you can literally play them over each other and it reveals a third cool song. The first 2 Linkin Park albums are track for track the exact same thing, and that is what I'm starting to feel about kind of Kitty's every performance. It's each one is produced uniquely. Each one has different lyrics and is in a unique key. But I'm finding that I feel as though Kitty is capable of delivering one performance every time, and it's a performance that doesn't resonate with me. I don't not wish her success, because there's plenty of girls that I think are like Lady Camden, not my queen. Wish her all the success on the planet Earth. But I don't know that I get how Kitty made it this far. I think it's terrific that she did, and that she appeals to the judges is spectacular. But I would have cut her several times.
I agree. She's not for me. I've never seen her. I don't know. It's weird. Like it hasn't been a success for me. But she and Alyssa both like really feel like Drag Race approved, like production approved, Rue approved queens. And I feel like that's why Alyssa wasn't, to me, super funny today, but she was really consistent, and it was a very polished product. But again, it just always puts me in mind of like, I want her to be the den mother. Like, I want it to be like she goes through all the challenges with them so that a girl who's been through it all can like mentor the group as they go, but like she can't win. Like,
oh my God, she's like auditing the challenge.
Yeah, like
something
like that. Something that is just kind of like acknowledges, and I would have done the same for Roxy even. Like these girls who it's just like they're so good, we love them so much, but if they don't win, it's a little bit insulting to their like they only keep doing this. Well, one, because it's good exposure, but B, I don't know, it just looks weird to not give them.
It's not the stipend.
Yeah, it feels weird to me to not give them a crown guaranteed. I don't know. They compete, and then if they're not great, it's frustrating. I'm not quite saying it all right, but I wouldn't have had Alyssa compete. Right. Her product is really polished. It's just I don't feel it's a competitive thing. And Kitty is kind of the same thing, but she doesn't have Alyssa's illustrious career. Like I feel like if Kitty just kept showing up to every gig World of Wonder signs her up for, she would be in Alyssa in another 2 to 5 years. It's just literally that she hasn't been doing this as long. She hasn't had her own Netflix show. She hasn't been on The GOAT. Like
at 52, she'll get to be what Alyssa was at 31. Get it, girl. It just
isn't Alyssa like 45 now?
44. Chapter 44.
The only thing Alyssa has been this for so long.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was really when we started getting into like Alyssa's on The GOAT. and maybe Dancing Queen, that I was really like, yeah, it doesn't even matter if she ever returns to Drag Race. Her career is now beyond the name of Drag Race. So anyway, but like, even still, when she goes to compete, she's not always the best. So then it's weird. And similarly for Kitty, she's great. I can see her being exactly what production wants a lot of the time, but that doesn't always mean it's great for the audience. So when we eliminate those two, then it's just obviously Nelania did so great, was super funny. And, you know, I do think that I was bummed. I was hoping this was going to be one of those ones. I'm always looking for this moment where Ru can say everybody was an A, but, you know, you all got 98s and these two got 95s. Doesn't mean that they're significantly worse. But no, in fact, Queens was unhinged and not funny. It was just an insane person. It was a Kimberly Shaw moment. I was upsetting almost. It just revealed a lot of neuroses that I'm desperately
waiting for her to kidnap a baby and then threaten to blow up the apartment complex.
100%.
Well,
that is exactly what I'm concerned about today.
Can I? I want to add to that, and I want you to keep please running with this.
No, pile it on. Let's go.
I want your opinion, in fact, on this. Something I've come to realize is there is a humongous difference between humor and free association, as well as referencing. And like, I think Family Guy was the tipping point. Like, this is humor. They are making the joke that there is only one understanding the American has of Italian people. This is humor. Queen imitating all Australian people fucking kangaroos at all times, because the joke is she's riding it, but the joke is she's riding
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's my wife, the most beautiful human being to ever be on a Drag Race, Spanky Jackson, the love of my life. I just
Hey Spanky.
Hey Spanky. Hey girl, how you been?
I love you, Spanky.
Love you. Hey.
It was weird. There was like one point where she's fighting giant geese. I did not get it. I was confused. I am confusion. Queen, explain. What do you mean? What do you mean?
And that's what I mean. Like, there is a difference between humor and free associating.
Also,
and this is just free associating.
We need better sex education, because chlamydia is not the clap.
No.
The clap is gonorrhea.
The clap is gonorrhea. And you should know what you've been treated for. Thank you, Station 19. Truly, that show has accomplished something.
Thank you, Stephanie Spanakopita, whatever your name is.
My life.
Pythia?
No, Karina, my favorite character in the second half of Grey's Anatomy. But I do also want to say that I actually love this Janet a la What's It Gonna Be with Busta that Queen Kong is giving me. She's in fact gonna make my body wet. It's like legitimately brilliant. I think Nelania is pushing things to absurd levels. There is a stunning dignity in what Kitty is wearing. I am impressed that Alyssa found a new way to be fabulous and sparkly. I even feel maybe it doesn't hit all of the buttons I need for this challenge, but it makes me excited for what she's trying to do. That said, Tessa deserved to go home for this outfit.
I liked it, but I have different tastes.
I'd like it on a cheerleader at halftime. I don't like it as fashion.
Well, and here's part of what I want to say too. This actually came up in my feed on Facebook, being shared by the Star Trek page, Star Trek on Paramount Plus's Facebook page, because Star Trek theme. What? First of all, the hilarious gap between the actual end of Discovery and when this aired, priceless. But then the fact that this is vaguely outer space theme, and that's what I'm thinking about when I'm looking at Tessa's, where I'm like, yeah, this would be good for a challenge where it made sense, but like, this isn't Star Trek, this is kind of starry. It doesn't match what the challenge is.
To your credit, because I think the runway category was confusing, and I think what you're talking, especially with the Facebook page sharing it, is confusing. It was inspired by Star Trek's Discovery, Queens in Space. So it wasn't supposed to be specifically Star Trek, but I get your confusion because that is confusing.
Especially
And-
when they beamed them on the runway.
Yeah.
Like,
And said Star
Yeah.
Trek, Queens in Space. If they had cut out Star Trek, if they had said inspired by Star Trek, the runway
and
theme
never
is
said it.
Queens from Space. And then when RuPaul had said, welcome the Queen, she had said, we're inspired by Star Trek this week. Category is Queens in Space. But the fact that the category was Queens in Space, or sorry, Star Trek : Queens in Space, I expected at least one person to give me something vaguely Star Trek.
Yeah.
My only point to that is on the dossier they might have just said outer space look.
Oh yeah, I'm not disqualifying any because they all didn't do it. So like regardless of what happened, I do feel that again it's a production failing. Queen for me is the most this would be on Star Trek in some capacity. Queen and Nelania, 2 different seasons. This is Discovery, Nelania is original series. But
And yet they both have a home on Voyager.
exactly.
Yes.
This is very Species 847 too.
I think Alyssa would fit as like they go down to a planet and this is the queen of the planet.
Yeah, Alyssa annoyed the
Yeah.
shit out of me because when she gave her like she said I'm giving you fantasy, dragons. She said like everything but something related to Star Trek, and I was sitting there being like, what was her prompt? Like, how did she? And I can sell this as kind of Buck Rogers in my head. I can even sell it as maybe up to early next generation you get on the planet and that's who's there. But otherwise it's very Great Gatsby. It's very Baz Luhrmann.
It looks Footlight
Yeah.
Parade.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Looking
It's one of my favorite her outfits, but like
Ever. Yeah.
I'm also just like you again, polish, money. Like I'm saying, you're the best of the best. You of all people can give me Queens in Space where I'm not even questioning it.
This challenge wasn't what's left in your closet.
Yeah. And it's weird because like, what are we, like a week from Lower Decks? I would have loved for this to actually be a Star Trek week rather than this weird footnote that then, as Jonah said, it's entirely possible even their prompt didn't acknowledge Star Trek. But like, I love that they acknowledge that it's a Paramount thing because like, I love the idea of somehow crossing over Drag Race and Star Trek. And I know so many queens. I mean, we had, when we did our Star Trek panel at FlameCon, we had Demanda there talking, being a queen who is into Star Trek. There are queens both on and off Drag Race who love Star Trek and who are inspired by Star Trek. And it's so cool that Paramount or that Viacom or whoever now owns both of them.
Sky Dancers.
I actually think it is Skydance at this point. Kill me now.
Jackie
It's
Cox
ultimately it's all just BlackRock. But I love that, queens are so inspired by Star Trek so much. It felt like a hugely wasted opportunity. On top of like, then it felt like, Tessa and Kitty kind of wasted the opportunity of the prompt on top of just like weird week. What I will kind of in the positive column for this and kind of looking towards the UK, the girls are much funnier when they're writing their sketches at this point than production is writing sketches for the girls. And holy shit, were those 2 sketches on UK not the biggest disaster I have seen in a while in terms of what was written for the girls. Girls did phenomenal based on the material they were given. I would have resigned if I had written that material and fired the person who did if I was head of production for that particular challenge on UK.
And it's really fascinating because part of what gets to me is our understanding of reference, our understanding of story placement. The number of references in this episode of UK to earlier episodes of UK was brilliant. It was Pokemon levels of references to previous events that are so cool. But like, one of the things that I thought that Global has managed to avoid, and I guess it's at the cost of the fact that we don't know many of these girls' original seasons, is I love when we get Beast and you know, that moment between TS and Alyssa, where these two beautiful women are having this communication that is exclusively based on the memery of one of the women. And like, the thing that makes it so special is we've seen that development. You know, we're more attached to Tabitha because we feel like we've seen the same girl grow up, but you switch Darren's just once and we never forgive you.
Darren.
So, right? Darren. So like, I think part of what's happening is there is a disconnect between Nelania, Tessa, etc., and girls like Queen. And I'll even say, you know, Pythia suffered from being judged by somebody that is not RuPaul, even though Ru has judged that person because Ru likes to judge. But I don't know. I think there is something really fascinating to the realization that I think Alyssa is here based on, we know her. And somebody who gave exactly Alyssa's performance this season that I was told is the Alyssa Edwards of Croatia, who gave the exact same performance this season, who was top 3 in Drag Race Croatia. Would she be in the top 4?
Hmm.
And I just don't know.
Yeah.
So, well, I broke the show. Thought it was a discussion point. So let's talk about UK.
You know, I was just thinking about, you know, something we talk about a lot too is, you know, we watched a commercial that we kind of made fun of the other day where they talked about this being a once in a lifetime opportunity. But like the Drag Race Wikia is already referring to this as season 1 of Global. Do you hope that there's a little bit less, I don't want to, it's almost rude to call her a plant, but I mean that lovingly. Do you hope that there's less of a plant like Alyssa, of someone like that is here to dominate and carry us to the end, and that is perhaps a little bit more unexpected?
I would ban all Ru judged girls.
Okay.
It's global or
so
it's
no
not.
American?
The Americans can play a unique role. The Americans can come in and be the lip sync assassin. The Americans can come in and be TK's brilliant suggestion of a champion among the competitors. Maybe there's 3 champions each week. Maybe one from the US each week and then another girl from another country. And they just choose not to compete that week because instead, you know, they're this mentor, which they're not here for the whole season. But like, I would find a way to avoid what is very clearly moderator bias in these debates.
To that point, I want more of the international judges. I know we had the lovely judge from Drag Race Germany on for one episode. I thought she was great. Bring the global judges. They're never going to bring Brooklyn, but like, I guess give us Brad. I guess we have to. It's either Brad or Tracy. Actually, no. Give me Serene Fox. TK,
Sure. You're still muted.
I know, my mute button broke. I think Tracy's out now.
Is she out?
I think this might have been her last season.
Well, like, give us Serene, because I love Serene. And
I agree.
But bring you know, have Pangina on here, have Mama Pow, bring the judges. I know that Ru specifically doesn't have drag queens on the same panel as her because she wants to look the best. And sometimes some of her girls and some of her daughters will outshine her. But like,
why did you fucking look at me when you said that?
Well, I didn't say anything, but if that's how you felt, maybe you felt like that for a reason.
I'm so sorry. Hold on. I have to remove his name. I'll be right back.
Wow. This just got a lot more complicated, but very funny. And that brings us to a whole point of like, this has been going on too long. RuPaul, now you have to step your game. Like, yeah, it's totally true. They could outshine you. Call Delta and apologize and get a better wig person. Start having somebody else design your gowns and I don't even think it's that Raven is bad. I do think, again, it is Tom DeFalco syndrome. It's just been nothing but Raven for so long now. Give Raven a year off. Give Raven a year of her own show, whether it's just like Glam Slam, but it's just makeup. Do something. Just let somebody else let other people fuck around with your face.
Kimchi do it. I want to see RuPaul and Kimchi.
Agree. Makeup. Yes, 100%. But don't stop not letting good ideas happen because you are stuck in a very understandable rut. You're 1,000 years old. I understand wanting to be as comfortable and consistent as possible. But otherwise, then retire. If you are worried that you can't stand up to the scrutiny of the amazing queens that you have made being put beside you in an authoritarian position, that's like the greatest thing that could ever happen to somebody. That's when you retire. That's literally like when every admiral retires on Star Trek. It's because all of the children that they have produced are better. Like you give up because it's now everybody else's turn. And I
know that I'm supposed to stop hosting this because now Jonah has me.
Yes. So we're done. It's the Jonah pack now. But yeah, I agree. Like, I would love to seeing like a council of judges that is the global hosts would be really cool. Like there's a billion ways you could do it. Like, they wouldn't even have to necessarily be there every week. It could be like they all send in their votes. There's like a caucus situation. I've been watching too much West Wing, but I don't know. There's ideas here. Like, we're spitballing good stuff. This show can actually be something different and bigger.
I would have 2 of them rotate out each week.
Something like that. Sure.
Show, that's fine. But
yeah.
I would have 2 of the international judges bring them there for however long, because this was filmed in Colombia.
Yeah.
Pay for the hotel because you've already booked it out already. I'm sure the extra few rooms, and just have 2 of them per episode and just rotate them. I really think the non-American eye, as much as I love T.S. Madison, and I was so happy she was here because I was thinking about the boar worms.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't know at the time when they let her film, but this could be a better time to have her in the mix.
Before the boar worms.
Yeah.
The boar worms.
I agree. I love T.S. I love Jamal, but I love that Carson showed up. I love that Graham showed up. It's great to see everybody that already does American English speaking Drag Race anyway. Give me other people. Put TS on the next thing after Bring Back My Girls, because she is so great. I love her so much. TS can do whatever she wants, but let her do it. Like, actually give her a job. And Jamal, I feel bad for because I love him. I want him to, again, like TS, I want him to host something Drag Race related. He deserves it. This is why I think they should be doing specific competition. So give him the Drag Race dance competition. Give Adore Delano the Drag Race singing competition. Do them all. But global should be bigger. It should start feeling like it goes beyond RuPaul and it goes beyond the American English speaking production process. And I think we're just like every week seeing the girls do great. And like, this is a good show and I'm totally into it. But like, there's some missing spice. And I think a lot of that missing spice is not embracing how much bigger the globe is than America, even when America was the place where this all began. Like,
and I wonder how much of that has to do with where Ru has hubris where humility would suffice.
Yeah.
Because Cher is somebody who could represent an American ideal on this show as a judge. And I bet you could get her. I mean, like, I'm trying to be really honest, as somebody who has every Cher album in some form or another, and many of them in multiple language or international editions, because let's face it, the UK version of One by One, not as good as the US version of One by One, but if you are a Cher fan, you have every version of It's a Man's World. For me, I think what I'm finding that global can't give me is a sense of globality. There is no sense of Olympics, and it's because no 11 girls show me the world. You should have done 40 girls, and it should have been mini challenges. It should have been 2 weeks of comedy, 2 weeks of lip syncs, 2 weeks of this, 2 weeks of that, and it should have whittled down to the finalists. But, TK, I think you're exactly right. The bigness is what's missing here. And, for a show that makes a lot of monster dick jokes, they sure are afraid of going magnum. And I challenge them to hold their own size up to that standard? Do you want to praise all sizes, which I think you should, or are you going to constantly say bigger is better and then never deliver? That's kind of gaslighting in a catfishy fake photos in the profile way.
Tea.
I did start this with I would be drinking some tea.
I kind of hope then by that regard that this season, if anything, was lighter than we had hoped or expected, so they can have more ground to build. Because if they did too much in the first one, then what do you do for the second one? If this is going to become a regular thing, and so now they can expand for the next and the next after that, that'd be great. If this really was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, well, now we can see why it'll only be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It wasn't that great.
I even wonder if they'll just rebrand, if the next one will be All-Stars Worldwide. Like, if Global they can't use that one, but, they can get close. Because I wonder if truly this left a bad enough taste in people's mouths, as everyone's going to know from the upcoming, I'm sure, incredibly historically accurate biofilm, SNL. The show was originally called Saturday Night, and there was another program on called Friday Night Live. But the first season of the show was called Saturday Night, and that's why the tagline is Live from New York, it's Saturday Night. Not Live from New York, it's Saturday Night Live. The tag is a reference to before the show had its final title. Let's not forget Ellen, the show that made Ellen capable of having a talk show called Ellen, was originally called something like Some of My Best Friends or This Gang of Mine or whatever.
Gang of Mine.
Yeah. So, Global All-Stars, great name, I guess, but I think they might even be benefited by leaving this bitch in the dust and coming up with a new name, because as much as I've enjoyed this we made friends with an incredible guy, big Drag Race fan, super cool dude, and we were talking with him at dinner the other night, and we were talking about Global All-Stars, and he was like, leaves me cold, and we were like, same. So
yeah, it's what we hear everywhere, and that's unfortunate.
It's a weird thing to hear everywhere. People randomly, I'm at the doctor's office and I'm checking in and I'm like, hi, I'm here for my endoscopy. And they're like, terrific, sign this. And also, Global All-Star sucks, right?
Oh, like anyone believes you go to the doctor.
Look at me. I have an
endoscopy?
Endoscopic doctor. Look at me.
Endoscopic.
Rag much?
Anyway.
You guys hear about my health care?
Yeah.
But to care about somebody else's health really fast, because I have 2 points, but I need to non sequitur, then I need to circle back to your point, because it's a very interesting discussion. I did not appreciate Michelle telling Nelly, like, overly correcting her English. The girl is ESL. Let her speak how she speaks. Like, who cares? Genuinely. Who cares if she was saying heart or art? Like, it still made sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is not the difference between pedophile and pedestrian. It is not, like, literally life-ending, ruin someone's career. I agree.
Like, let the girl live, number one. But to your point, I think there was this expectation, and what is expectations but wish fulfillment, the breeding of doubt, of disappointment, the this
if you can't focus, you can't talk.
Well, you're making me laugh.
I didn't do shit.
I think when it was announced Global All-Stars and we see this cast and we see these girls' placements, we have this expectation that everybody's going to be dominating challenges and everybody is we're going to have to be like, we're splitting hairs to see who's going to go home. I also know that there was this rumor for a little while that there was going to be the first 6 episodes, nobody goes home, which I was like, oh, that's a lot of episodes for nobody to go home with, and to start eliminating people randomly in the middle half of it. I think we set a lot of expectations of like, everybody's going to be dominating, when the truth of the matter is, no, that's not really how most of it goes. We don't expect that to happen on a regular All-Stars. We don't expect that to happen on a regular season. So I don't know why that was the specific assumption, and I was even guilty of it for global. I think it's a regular season of All-Stars that just happens to have a global cast that people are weirdly upset over a produced show being produced. I think there's an argument to be made that the production is being a little overt, especially with the very weird editing. The editors seem to be at war with the producers because the edit doesn't seem to be matching the production choices for most of the time. It's very weird, even though I think the past 2 episodes have been the best in terms of, okay, everything seems to be making sense and the edit of this is making sense.
Yeah, the execution matches the vision. There's something that sometimes feels a little bit almost like the American dubs of Godzilla movies from the 50s, where like people are going,
That's great.
and exactly. And the dialogue from the original film is probably powerful, amazing, incredible, well thought. But what we're getting is this chopped up version of it. And it's this joke I've often made about, like, you've got to be careful when you write a review. Never say, this isn't brilliant, because what will be printed is this ... brilliant. And you've got to be careful. And some of these girls, they're ESL and they are brilliant in their home languages. And the fact that they communicate as brilliantly in English as they do for the American audience is amazing. But there is something about asking somebody to be flawlessly clever in not their native language that is asking a number to be a shape.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can get pretty close on that request if your global production supports that. Like, if at some point everybody is handicapped by language barrier stuff, again, if there's translators on set and maybe the producers get to see that, so you know they get a moment where the girls get to express themselves fluently in their own language, and then the translator comes in and says, you know, Michelle, this is what she was actually saying. She's all set. Shut the fuck up and leave her alone. I don't know. There's like a billion different ways it could go, but like it can be that. And that's, again, like that's if this is global, make it global. Do all of the things that have to be done to make it global. Don't just bring in girls and then say, you know, conform to American Sin. You can do that, of course, like you've done it here and we're all watching. It's just like now it's yet another place where I'm just like not super impressed with the production company that makes this show.
Don't tell me it's a cheese board and then give me every cheese in the form of American.
Yeah, like if it was just all slices, it's not impressive.
Exactly.
It's just not impressive. Like that's fine. It's great that you got all the cheeses and I love your sliced cheese board idea, I guess, but it's just not how Manchego was meant to be served. This is where we are. And again, like this sometimes becomes the problem, another problem of an overlap period of time. Production can look really bad overall. And this week I was just like, I watched UK first and I was so frustrated with how bad the sketches were, that to come to right over to this where I've had consistent, like, you guys could do better. If I know you're A students and you're giving me C work, yeah, you're going to pass the class technically. But if you ever ask me for a recommendation later, the recommendation's going to say like, you're capable of great things, but you pass in C work. And that just, World of Wonder is really capable of great things. We have seen it over and over again. They created this genre. They launched these girls' careers. The first 6 seasons were nothing but experimentation and innovation. In season 2, they made them eat stuff. Like, this show was nothing like it ended up being. Like, they did experiment. They went out and did day drag. They did stripper routines. They did WWE stuff. Like, they really experimented so much.
By WWE stuff, you specifically mean Mimi I'm First physically assaulting every queen in her season. I mean, I've heard stories about how she has thrown people to the ground.
That actually, that was just letting a queen tell her life story through her horrific actions on Drag Race. They also did a WWE challenge. So 2 separate things, but again, experimentation all the time, all the ways they can. And now, and for me, that's like, you get extra points for that, because part of, especially TV production where it's gone the next day, is that you do want to experiment with stuff and figure out new ways that you can change things. World of Wonder used to do a lot more of that, and yeah, I'm calling them out when they don't. This week of overlap sort of compounded all the things that frustrate me about World of Wonder in the year of our Lord 2024.
Oh my goodness, darling, it's 2024.
If we're at a great place to transition over, I just want to say that one of the things I loved the most about this episode of UK was that it was brazenly willing to be itself. I find that sometimes the international versions of Drag Race are asked to compromise things about how they perform to be a little bit closer to what the American audience expects. This was so British. I felt like, number 1, it wasn't allowed to have commercials. Number 2, was guilty until proven innocent. And number 3, it generally assumed that CCTV was how you do. It only wanted to order fish and chips. I'm making all of these jokes because this was not necessarily the most American accepting episode. And that's even kind of what we're talking about when we make jokes about how the girls behaved here. One of the things for me is that I keep calling them messy because I view messiness by how you behave. The worst person I know in the world being their worst self, that's just fine. They're a horrible person. But the best person I know being their worst self shocks me. And so when I see these UK girls be like, I'm going to step out of being a classy bitch and I'm going to be sort of like a Manchester girl and I'm going to step to another girl and I'm going to put it up in her face. I'm going to be an Asbo. Like, when that comes out of these girls' mouths, I'm like, okay, you think this is lowering yourself. And don't get me wrong. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say. We've all seen Cruel Intentions. Reese Witherspoon's character's descent is no less interesting because she starts less depraved than... I meant Selma Blair's. My apologies. Selma Blair's character's descent is no less interesting because she's less depraved than is Sarah Michelle Gellar at the start. I'm so sorry. That is one strong group of lady friends, and they're all still friends, and I think somehow Jennifer Aniston is their queen. I don't understand it. I did not mean to confuse a bunch of white women. I will do better. But that's, I think, what I'm trying to say. When you say, I'm starting at, this is me classy, I can't believe I'm going here, that's an attractive kind of messy for me. Serve it up, mama.
Are you talking about Chanel in that case?
I'm kind of talking about how all of these girls are like, I'm going to show that I'm funny, and it's going to make everybody go, I can't believe you're funny. And I'm going to be like,
That's
funny.
right.
And quiet.
Oh, sir.
Yeah.
You're funny.
Oh, it's not. You can't. It's the point with the cousins at the bar and football with the telly. Like, I mean,
did any of this happen this week? What are you talking about?
A bunch of the girls were like, I'm shocked that this girl is capable of being funny in that way. I'm shocked that this girl is capable of executing this line of dialogue. There was so much.
Yeah, I will admit I tuned out when they were doing the performances because I could just see how unbearable the sketches were. So this could have happened, and I really might have missed it.
I think we've had worse sketches, but I think we've also had better.
I
deserve better.
Can you name one worse sketch than this one?
Shakespeare.
Ooh.
I actually think those were good. I do think the girls...
They were not good. No,
I think the girls flopped on them a little bit. I also think doing them on stage the way they did I get why...
Like the director, you hear this guy?
I get why they had to, because it was Shakespeare, but I don't know. These were, for me, just... We have certainly had worse, and maybe the Shakespeare ones were worse. We have had just so many that were better, and I don't know. I guess I expect better of UK and UK's writing team.
I mean, they hired only the best writers from Torchwood.
You would hope, but here we are. I also thought Kyron had a really funny idea and really embodied it well, and the immediate door open reveal of that as her Hugh Grant was really funny and really good. I know other queens have committed that much to an idea that had nothing else and got read for exactly that. It was one note and then it went nowhere. And that was Kyron's Hugh Grant. Like, great idea. She did it really well. That is a Hugh Grant mannerism. Nailed everything about, well, I mean, it is a very exaggerated gesture at a Hugh Grant mannerism, but we all knew. We all got where she was going. But then there was nothing else. There was no, I don't know. It just, that she won. So good. That Kyron won was a little insane to me. I don't know. I really, really hated these sketches so much. I clearly can't talk about much else besides that, but I think it really did such a disservice to what everybody could have done. And again, like, Lavoie thought she did really well, and I don't know if she did badly or not, because her part was really poorly written. I think she showed up and was really professional, hit her marks, did everything you have to do as an actor. But this was not funny. This also was not funny, and she did a really good job making it funny, even though it wasn't.
What was this supposed to be a parody of? Was this the
3 Weddings and a Funeral?
Four weddings.
This is This is from the Love Actually one, but she's playing a little girl with a stalker.
I watched Love Actually once and did not think it was quite as bad as I had feared it was going to be. I was convinced Love Actually was going to be 2 hours of Christmas shoes, and then
what are Christmas shoes?
Like the song Christmas Shoes.
Did you get your cha-cha heels?
The song that's like
We 5,000% talked about this on our 4-hour Christmas music broadcast.
I promise you, it was at the point at which I was drunk and you were hopefully just trying to tune me out. But Christmas Shoes is a song about a guy who goes to a shoe store, goes to buy a pair of shoes, and the little boy comes in and is like, "My mom is dying," and I want to
this is one of the songs by the Cheeky Girls.
Yeah, basically. But the American Sad Country Cheeky Girls for Christian rock. And
the chicks.
Make smile, buy my shoes.
Yeah, okay, I do remember this conversation now.
I think there is a level of sort of expectation by which things will be good or bad. And I had expected that Love Actually would be 2 hours of Christmas shoes, and it was not. But I'm going to say this was sort of as bad as I would guess something would be. But like, I don't know. If you just sort of assume you're garbage, and so the things you love will be trash, life works out kind of fine.
I do want to note something that you said, TK, about it being one note. I do sometimes think that the judges will be like, don't be one note, unless the one note is funny. Then
yes,
when we laugh,
unless we like the one note, in which case it's good. And again, that's just one of those things where I'm like, how am I, as a like decades long viewer now, supposed to ever feel like I can get a grip on what the judging is for this show?
That is fair. I do think it's not. I ended up enjoying most of these people's performances, at least especially the top 3 between Relisa, Marmalade, and Kyron. I thought that was pretty overtly like a good top 3. I actually thought Charity did really good. To be fair, I've seen neither of these original movies, so I have no idea what they're parodying. So I have no point of reference for anything.
And again, this is my problem. Like, the writing is really bad. Nobody did a bad job showing up to act. At a certain point, if you're not being asked to do the sketch, as in Global All Stars, there's nothing you can do. And that's another way that this fucking show gets you, is they'll give you bad dialogue and then be like, you didn't do good in the challenge. It's because you didn't give me good lines to do. Like, I showed up, I hit my marks, I brought energy. And sometimes girls don't, of course. Like, we know girls who get in their, Adita did get, like, Dita, great example, actually, because...
Can I defend her slightly? Because
you can.
The two lines that they had the most problem with, which being told your husband is dead, oh, bollocks, surely not. That's a comedy line. Like, the fact that she said it the way she did actively fits the lines written. It's not how you respond. Again, this is another thing, Drag Race, I got on a whole, I was just thinking about Drag Race editing while I was watching this. The edit that they give it is that she is missing that she should go huge with it, because it's this tragic news that her husband has died. And it really feels like what they are showing you is a I was rooting for us moment. Like, she literally is not getting how to deliver the line based on what is written there. Now, it is entirely possible that she had an idea for how to do this funny delivery and was totally comfortable with it and really thought, like, if you make that work, it is funny. And I get what you're saying. But they absolutely cut it, including her confessional, to give the impression that she was essentially told, like, give us over the top, and she couldn't get herself there because she was too in her head. And with that edit, I do think 100% she should have been the one to go home. But I was having this whole thing because I was already questioning the writing, where I was also questioning the edit of Chanel, because Chanel has a very clear thing where she is saying, I wanted Lil to win because at least I made Lil's outfit. So if Lil won, that kind of means I won too. My product, the thing that helped her win, is something that I made. And she gets really close to saying it in her confessional, and it cuts, because I think they cut out her clearly explaining what she was saying, which is what I just said, that she wanted Lil to win because that would be her accomplishment as well. And they cut it, and then they get into this whole thing where she's like, I just don't like Marmalade. I like the idea that Marmalade would lose. And then that becomes the whole story. And, Rue loves blame it on the edit. Like, we're only cutting what you said. But as I have always said, if you get somebody on stage going, and I yelled at my grandmother because I said, Grandma, you thought the Nazis were great, and then you just cut the girl saying the Nazis were great, then yeah, girl, technically said it, but like, you have cut it deceptively. And that is the horseshit lie of blame it on the edit, because absolutely that happens. If you are just cutting in vocals and you don't see the person's lips move or see where the cut happens, you literally can make people say anything. And that has happened on Drag Race. We know from Roscoe's that's happened. Like, girls are saying they absolutely said the words that you're hearing, but not in the context that you're hearing them. So I was while the Chanel and Marmalade thing wound up being very funny, and also very civilized, again, just like I would have preferred them Jello wrestling, but I loved that Chanel apologized, like, very human moment, very, very classy. We could all be better, be more upstanding citizens. But the cut in the edit of her confessional really left me questioning things. And then the cuts for the challenge really left me questioning things. Definitely based on the edit, Dita did some of the worst there, but I immediately could see that it was possible that she did not, and that the edit really cut her to tell that storyline to get her out the door.
I want to just riff on what you're saying, TK, but because talking about the edit really makes me think about the way producers affect songs. The edit affects a girl the way a producer affects the outcome of a recording or a piece of music. And I think about Honey by Robin, which is one of the greatest singles of Robin's discography, but the entire record is one very sad note for 42 minutes. And one of my favorite minds to ever live, Dr. Matt Connor, just really one of my
lizard?
No, I love that joke. But no, one of the greatest Daredevil cosplayers of all time. and a longtime contributor to this show and my mental health. Everybody have a friend who loves you as much as Matt loves me. But he defended Honey when it first came out. He was like, no, I love that it's sad. And I was like, you're wrong. And because I wanted more body talk. And so, like, when I think about this season of UK, this season is body talk. This is 16 competing singles that all want your attention. I kind of think maybe last season was Honey. It was all sort of like one note, and even though the girls were unique and individual and had their own keys and their own time signatures, they all kind of felt like the same BPM, and it was just kind of like one concurrent girl. But what I get from this season is more personality than I have felt from a season of Drag Race since, like, without being an asshole, like 5 through 10. Like, this is some fucking group of girls, man, and every one of them has a statement to make about your expectations of their drag. And let me tell you, they're not here for your criticism. They're here to keep living that delusion, and I love it.
One of the conversations I really love this episode was Dita opening up, talking about how later in life, they realized that they were non-binary and what that means. And it's part of that is because when Dita was growing up, they didn't have that language. They didn't have the tools or the labels or the vocabulary to express how they were feeling. And there are many people who I think can relate to that, can understand that, like, you go through your own gender journey, even if you end up where you start, that having the tools, I think the more acceptance that we have and the more that we teach and the more that we are loud and proud and rainbow and queer and all these different things, not only helps the younger generation, but I think it also helps an older generation that was told you couldn't be these things, that had to hide a lot of it, and giving them the ability to walk the path to their true selves, to their true identities. And I was so enamored that we got this conversation, that we got to talk about it. And it does suck a little that Dita was the one to go. It happens. I wish them nothing but the best.
Well, that's what happens when you wear a Raggedy Andy version of the Tom of Finland suit. That was like, that outfit was like Popeye the Dumb Sailor Man, and I had no idea what to do with it.
My top moment of the episode, though, well, actually I have two top moments. There two tops. Who would have thought? First top is Untucked, when Dita had a moment and was like, I need to step away, and Chanel gets up and LaVar goes, no, Chanel, not you, was so funny.
Yeah.
To cut to her confessional saying, could you imagine you have a really emotional moment and you start crying and Chanel's the one to comfort you? Oh my god. Peak comedy, peak everything. What a beautiful moment that I'm so glad was caught on television, that they kept in. My other top of the moment was Kyron winning her second challenge in week 3. I'm not sorry about it. That's the front runner. That's my queen to win. I know it feels correct when you feel vindicated that the person you want to root for wins again. She truly is stomping on the competition. I don't know what else to say. She's like she's the actual threat of the season right now.
I completely agree. Both great moments, but the Chanel moment was exceedingly funny, especially because it then cuts to Chanel being very kind, like them obviously being fine with each other, which kind of makes it even funnier, because it's just like nobody quite gets each other. It also would have been really funny if she had been garbage at comforting Dita, but it was just very fun. And the fact that her explanation was just like, can you imagine Chanel being the person to comfort you? Just very, very funny. LaVar creeps me out, but there's also something about her personality that I really enjoy in like confessionals and in the show overall. It's in the mouth and her icon. That's like, she looks like a demon there.
She looks like one of the women from Coraline.
Yes, 100% that. And I came for Kyron's Hugh Grant, and I do want to say, like, in the context, it was I do think that she was really high performing, and I was not unhappy with her win at all. I don't think that it was one note because she wasn't good enough to do better. I think it was one note because this was a bad sketch. And again, like, Lavoie really didn't benefit from that and complained that she was not in the top. And I was sort of ambivalent about anybody being in the top, not because of them, but because of the material. It was bad material. So yeah, I mean, I want to make clear that Kyron is a front runner for me as well. And reading the performance was not so much about her. It was just about the sketch being, I think, really poor. I was a bummer that this was where they brought in Simon Le Bon. This is where we get into scheduling is just what it is. This is why we haven't had Cher or Dolly Parton, because they're very difficult to schedule no matter what. And if you're going to cast them, you really want, like, those are two, Cher and Dolly Parton are two that it has to be a big deal. It has to be like when Lady Gaga shows up. And I think they're really waiting for the right time. That's fine. That's great. But like, for some of us, Simon Le Bon is like close to, like, I understand that he's not at the level of celebrity as Dolly Parton or Cher, but like, that's an exciting get for older millennial and elder gay people. Like, with just, we know Duran Duran, we know Simon Le Bon. Like, I would have
45 and gay. He's Elvis.
Yeah, exactly. And I would have loved to have seen him be there for a music challenge, for like an 80s synth pop challenge. There's a lot of places, but it was very cool to see him. He was a great judge. Yeah, I mean, this is a really exciting group of girls. Dita, for me, had been in the bottom all 3 weeks. So I was not the most bummed to see her go. But again, this is like, they were all getting 95s and 98s, and she got maybe a 94. It wasn't that she's just like this bottom of the barrel queen. It's just that somebody technically has to have the lowest score. Right. And for me, she had technically been the lowest performer. So I want to get this show on the road and start eliminating people. And so it was okay to see her go, but I am hopeful that we will see more of her in the future.
Yeah.
I agree. Kevo, one of the things that I really appreciate about watching this with you is your unique perspective, having come to drag a little bit later in life, but also your unique perspective as somebody who so appreciates international media, whether it's things like Doctor Who, or it's your general appreciation for classic fairy tales. And one of the things that I think is so important about, especially when the UK girls are embodying this idea of what is the illusion, what is the costume, I actually think a lot of these girls borrow from classic storytelling and then kind of push it a bit further. I'm really excited to watch more of this season of UK because I think this is perhaps the most unique group of girls in a while for the UK. How are you feeling on this group? And as we transition on out of this episode, what are you hoping the most for from Global before it goes away?
Yeah, I think this is a really great group of fresh talent for us to enjoy, which I think is something that we really needed after, we really loved all of All Stars 9 and we loved parts of Global, but now I think we needed kind of like a good new group of girls. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to how this develops. I know that we got a drop video for Down Under as well. I don't remember if we know the start date for that. I asked Tori and she said some other stuff excited about Down Under, and I was like, I'll look it up later, and then I never did. But any drop video means it's coming soon. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun seeing new girls after getting a lot of All-Stars. As for Global, I don't know. I don't know what kind of surprise can be thrown our way at this point. So is next week the finale? Or do we have 2 weeks still?
Yes.
Oh, right. No, that is correct. And I even went out of my way to queue this up in advance because I'm excited that we have another Lollapalooza coming up. Okay. Yeah, thank you for reminding me, because that's something too. The fatigue has made it hard to be like, And what's next? No, we love a Lollapalooza, and like I said last week when we had the makeover challenge where we brought back old contestants, I love that. I love getting to see the old girls, so I'm looking forward to seeing all the eliminated queens get to perform one last time. We love Lollapaloozas. We've really enjoyed what sort of kind of global songs they have picked that have global recognition, so I think that's going to be really cool to see what gets picked for that. And yeah, so I am stoked for that before we get to the finale.
Kevo, I love that answer. And one of the things that has been so exciting is, JoJo, as I've come to realize that, I'm a drag king, and I love it. I love the idea of, and so again, I said it last week, but a new friend asked me, so what is drag? And I was like, it's just excess. It's everything you are to the 1000th degree, and there's a freedom, there's a beauty, there's something that is so letting you be who you are, right? And I'm somebody who is always exactly who I am, no matter what I'm doing. But it's amazing how often I feel like I'm not allowed to soar like the giant fucking bird that I am. And when I think about giant fucking birds, I think about you. Right? Because you're my little man. And one of the things that I'm so grateful for is that even if I took the step into being on stage as a drag king, one of the things that you took the time to do was to represent this art in such a real form that made it feel so accessible to me, that made me eager along with the guy right next to us, that made it so possible for me to enter it. How do you feel about what is being called by a lot of critics the artifice of global, and what is also being referred to as maybe almost exclusionarily uniquely UK drag on the new season? I'm sorry, series.
I'm pretty sure that's the Apple AI that people talk to, right?
Yes.
I'm right on this.
Her.
The opposite of him. I am not somebody who is that enmeshed in British culture. I've watched a couple of British TV shows or shows that come from the UK. I've watched a couple of things. I've been there literally once. So I'm not like the huge person that like, I love it and I'm enmeshed. But what I do love maybe about this season that does feel it feels very proper UK. It feels like we're getting some great representation between Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and I guess a lot of Manchester and London. And it feels exciting. It feels like I really get to see what the performance art there looks like. I really think, like you said, it's such a unique cast of girls and queens and performers that really, I don't think any other of the queens there kind of do what the other one does, and I feel like that's really exciting and special. So it really makes for what I hope will be an entertaining season. And so far, it has delivered. Global, my hope for Global, the way that I think in the eyes of the fandom, the only way that Global could be rectified is if Nelly wins.
Yeah, that's my one. That's the only thing I fucking want now at all.
Which I am personally Team Nelly, Team Nehelania for the win. I don't know anything. We're not spoilerinos. We don't know anything. I don't know how they're doing the finale. I do think, and not that the judging and not that the fandom we have to be in good graces. We have to follow the wishes of what I see people are saying. But I do think having her win would give stock to that this isn't just Rue's favorites of people that Rue's judged before. I do think it would, at least for the first season, send the message that no, anybody really can win this. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. I really hope if the episodes go in a great way, the last two episodes for this, what I assume the last two episodes, I really wish and want that they do continue this, because I love seeing the other queens of the franchises. I love getting excited. You know, we talked about in UK versus the World 2, Le Grand Dame and Marina Summers being such superstars, making us want to watch Drag Race France and Drag Race Philippines, that I really like. I hope that this global showcase doesn't end because of some weird decisions on the back end that are nothing to do with the girls' fault. I truly hope And truth, at the end of the day, people in the fandom need to stop being fucking weird and like sending people death threats and hate mail. And if you do not like somebody, turn that energy over to someone that you love and just send them some love. It feels really weird and bizarre how parasocial people get about these queens, not only messaging them, but apparently messaging their family hateful things. That is...
okay, Chapel Roan, calm down.
I know. Is a little bit of a bridge too far that makes it hard for me to really want to engage in fandom because people in this fandom are insane. So I'm hoping y'all just chill out a little bit and that the global can have a strong finish to set a legacy forward for future seasons.
Well, Jojo, if everybody wants to turn your lonely fans into an OnlyFans, where can they subscribe to your sexy self?
Just for my fans, you can follow me everywhere at Peak Jonah.
Oh, woof, hot. No, you should. Kevo, you have already closed out the episode with your brilliant thoughts. We are so lucky that you aren't just a contributor, a brilliant mind who helps shape the direction of this show, but you are somebody who takes the time to produce, cultivate, and maintain the excellent quality of what this show looks like as somebody who is quite frequently pretty Greek under the eyes. You know what I mean? I appreciate that other things on this show always look pretty and clean. So, Kevo, please, where can everybody find you on the interwebs should they want to engage with your production excellence?
Oh, of course, you can find me as always at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY.
You know, when I think about people who have had a humongous impact on what I think, and basically I am always that SNL sketch of Donna turning to Josh saying, Josh, tell me what to think. There are very few people in this world who I want to tell me what to think in such a West Winging way. But TK, this is such a fascinating season of UK because the girls are ferociously unique. And this is a fascinating season in terms of global because it is predictably bland. And I'm fascinated by how with a greater palette of color, it's a more muted product. And yet with a more localized sense of flavor, it's a more expansive product. And as somebody with such a cultivation of flavors, as somebody who understands what makes different things different, I would love to know what's setting these two shows apart. And if everybody wants to engage with your adorable self, where can they find your giant glasses on the internet?
I mean, ultimately at this point, what's setting the shows apart for me is that in the case of Global, it's that literally it is new and unique and it's a different package, and they're blowing it because they're not using what sets.
I do love
apart.
blowing a package.
There you go. They're not using the things that give it that make it unique to provide a unique product. What's really huge about UK this year is that they're just awesome. These girls are just so great. I mean, like that's kind of all there is to it. We'll have to see what else shakes out, but right now it's just so exciting how cool they all are and just how excited I am to see them go. And if you want to talk about that with me, it's TK Elemental on all your socials.
We are so lucky that you are with us, just like we are super lucky that Kevo and Jonah are with us this week. Of course, we are referring to the just not here at the moment Tori, who always comes with the most beautiful drag looks. She is the most unbelievable creature. We are so grateful for when she's here, but when she's not here, we just want to make sure to put a big shout out to the SM Tori, the one, the only, that bitch. But if you're looking for just like some bitch, hey guys, I'm Nico Action. You guys can check me out at Nico Action, NICOACTION. If you guys want to hear more of the interpretations of the songs in the background here, you guys can check me out at Nico Action Music. That's NICOACTIONMUSIC. I love to say letters fast, but there's a few other things you guys could do. Theoretically, if you guys want to do it, you guys could like, comment, and subscribe. We do a lot of different feeds here, and we are really proud of all of them. It's so cool how many of you cross over from our drag feed to our comic feed to our Agatha feed, you know, being Marvel Cinematic Universe, to our Star Trek feed. And episodes like we had of Global tonight remind us why that crossover exists, especially with unbelievable queens like Jackie Cox reminding us that that sort of exemplary attitude has existed on the show for so long. And I just feel really lucky to get to be a part of this moment in drag where everything is so big, so proud, so incredible. And it's really exciting. If there's anything I hope for from Global, it's, Nalinia, win, mama. Even though you keep doing lives against us. Bitch, mama. How am I supposed to watch your fucking live if you're making your margarita pizzas live while I'm on air eating my margarita pizza?
What I'm hearing is we need to work out a schedule. So the next time you jump in our feed, we're gonna message you and we're gonna work something out, and it'll all be good.
And also, Octavia, I would just like to say I would like to treat you the same way Rocco Steele treated Alan King, and so you should call me anytime you would like. Your time zone, my time zone. I'm not picky. Dial. But other than that, you guys check me out.
With charity.
What was that, Kevo?
Same for me, but with charity.
That is very Kevo taste. That's how he married me. I looked softer with hair. But if you guys want to follow the show, that's X is for show. If you want to follow us on the internet, comics at X is for podcast. Everything else at HTML. And like, comment, and subscribe. 3 things you guys can do for us, but 3 things you guys can do for yourselves. Number 1, stay safe. Number 2, be brave. And number 3, evolve daily. Yesterday, amazing. Today, incredible. But tomorrow, that's the dream. And we can't wait to be with you there then. So until that, stay all those things, do the things, and we'll see ya.